Adding value to core technology through services is a widely used business strategy for companies within the supply chain to improve their competitive advantage. This webinar looks at how the Apparel Logistics Group, a world leader in apparel, third-party logistics, and supply chain outsourcing, found ways to increase value to their customers and differentiate their services by extending integration capabilities to modernized data management. Our panelists today will share examples of how TAG realized the benefits of a dynamic business model, meet customer demands faster by improving process efficiencies, become a one-stop shop for new business with modernized data management, and reduce resource dependencies by consolidating technologies and automation transactions. This industry perspective webinar is sponsored by EXTOL International, an EDI and end-to-end integration company that has been delivering B2B integration solutions throughout the supply chain for over 25 years. Today, we'll hear from one of EXTOL's long-term customers, the Apparel Group, along with EXTOL business partner, the Persimmon Group, and they'll share their experiences and best practices to driving competitive growth through a modernized data management strategy. Let me introduce our speakers. Jerry Huang is responsible for the strategy, planning, and execution of all technology initiatives at the Apparel Group, including EDI, business systems, e-commerce, and hardware network infrastructure. He also serves as head of customer service operations, covering all of the company's branded women's and men's business for wholesale and e-commerce. As leader of BPM, Jerry works across departments to find new and innovative processes and technology to increase efficiency and quality while improving speed to delivery. Charles Abbott is president and co-founder of the Persimmon Group, a technology consulting firm that helps companies expand their corporate technologies with custom development, integration services, and data management methodologies. As technology evangelist, Charles has worked to keep Persimmon in the forefront of proven technologies to help customers remain competitive, expand capabilities, and drive their business into new avenues of revenue. All right, let's get going. Jerry, please tell us a little about TAG and the major challenges you were facing that helped mold your vision of modernized data management.
Barry, thanks for having me. Everybody in the virtual world, nice to meet you. Appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about who the Apparel Group is, some of the business challenges that we face, as well as the business opportunities, and really dive a little deeper into how technology and services really differentiated us from our competitors. So just a quick background. The Apparel Group has been around since 1988 under a strategic partnership with TAL Apparel Limited, based out of Hong Kong. TAL represents one of the largest dress shirt manufacturers in the world, with presence in 9 countries and 11 factories with over 25,000 associates. Here in the U.S., the Apparel Group represents the import, wholesale, and e-commerce side of the business. We have offices in New York City, as well as our headquarters here in North Dallas, which is where I'm at. We have 4 divisions that we run. We have our menswear division, which is here in the Dallas area, but we also have our womenswear division, which runs out of our New York office. So kind of to give you an example of our breadth of product categories that we service for our customers. As I mentioned, we're one of the largest dress shirt manufacturers, but we also do sportswear, bottoms, and neckwear. For women's wear, we do pretty much top to bottom blouses, jackets, sportswear, sweaters, knits, and bottoms. Our customers are from all the major department stores that we represent here in North America. So we have over 30 plus department stores that we represent, plus right now about over 1,000 special accounts. Some of the customers that we represent on this slide here is just a quick snapshot of some of the major retailers that we represent here in the U.S. and North America in general. And we provide either our own branded services or as well as private label services. And in some cases, we do all the services, which also includes vendor managed inventory, third-party logistics, information technology services. We also do a lot of drop ship and e-commerce business with over 15 plus and growing on e-commerce. With our own core divisions in men's and women's, our customers started to reach out to us and ask, you guys do a lot of value-add services, whether it's in design, whether it's in business process outsourcing, and even more so in quick replenishment, warehousing, pick and pack, and fulfillment. Our customers challenged us and gave us a business opportunity to look at how can we extend our supply chain and logistics services, as well as our back office services, to some of their other non-competitive manufacturers that need that same type of value-add service here in the U.S. So with that, we formed the Apparel Logistics Group to service as an end-to-end supply chain from X-Factory all the way to delivery to whether it's a retailer or department store or even an e-commerce consumer. We also added on top of our supply chain services all the back office support. So for example, we can do customer service and call center. We can do quality control both on near factory as well as in the U.S., as well as do vendor managed inventory. And part of my scope as well is the information technology. We started to extend our supply chain services to include IT services such as EDI, such as integration. On the next slide, we kind of show you the overview of our 3PL services. I won't go through each one in detail, but as you can see, it's really an end-to-end solution. And we are very much focused in the apparel, fashion, and footwear business. We're not an end-all 3PL for all industries, but our core competency is in the apparel and fashion world. And that's why a lot of customers come and seek us, because they're looking for someone not only that can do great logistics services, but also understands the apparel industry and its nuances, both as far as handling goods as well as the technology services that's involved. Some of you guys know in the apparel world, it's a very SKU-intensive, high seasonal volatility type of business, and understanding that very carefully is a key component of making it successful. For those who like a little facts and figures, this slide gives you a quick overview. I won't go through each bullet point, but a quick overview of our warehousing and logistics capabilities. We're CTPAT certified. We run inside of a foreign trade zone, which our customers are able to take advantage. And as you can tell through the pictures, there's a huge, heavy investment in technology. We do believe that technology will allow us to not only reduce our overall operational costs, but allow us to bring speed to market to all of our customers. You know, that's where we are today. Obviously, that's not where we were by 5 or 6 years ago. As our business model started to diversify over the years, we really knew that we needed to continue to invest in both our capabilities and our competencies, but also our technology stack. We started to venture into how do we add more value to our customers' supply chain. You know, we obviously produce a great product already, but our customers are looking for what can we do more so that our consumers can benefit even further. How can we add more value to the customers? How can we add on more business and diversified businesses? Now that we're dealing with 3PL customers, we're dealing with integrations across multiple platforms. It's not just the typical EDI anymore. We're looking at XML, CSV, flat files, FTP, AS2. So we're looking at a lot of different B2B models that are driving a need, because everybody has a different technology stack, but we need to be able to operate in a more seamless fashion. The other challenge is, again, as every business is being challenged, is how do we continue to improve our bottom line? And that means improving our operational process, reducing our overhead costs, and we knew for a fact that this change in business model really needed to have IT and technology to support that. Gone are the traditional days of just doing plain old EDI, and now how do we have a seamless, fewer touches from consumer to retailer, retailer to wholesaler, wholesaler to supply chain to manufacturer, and even raw materials. Several years ago, we had a challenge where we needed to look for a way to do an any-to-any integration with all these different suppliers and different customers, and to not have to write hard-coded programs for every type of integration and proliferate the number of types of middleware and point-to-point type of programs. We started to seek out, is there a solution, a technology stack that can really support an any-to-any integration across all of our myriad of platforms, both on our customer side, our supplier side, and even internally with our best-of-breed systems. So some of our needs that drove some of our changes was part of our diversification of our business model and our new business model in general. We need to get a new ERP system. We were in a very much antiquated, hard-coded, customized ERP system about 4 years ago. I started in the company about 6 years ago. 2 years after that, we started to expand our business, and we knew immediately that our existing ERP was not able to handle that. So we looked and sought out for a new ERP. We also needed to be able to support all of these new business models, whether it's doing e-commerce and retail for ourselves or supporting someone else's e-commerce business model, as well as opening up the 3PL channels. And of course, some of us here in the IT world, we're starting to have a more complex IT infrastructure, both in the systems as well as in the hardware side. So what I wanted to look for was a single source platform that could be our go-to integration tool. Take all of our disparate systems, all of our disparate files, and all of our customers' and suppliers' data sets, and really use a single tool to marry that up, and then have our developers and our programmers be more focused on a single tool set instead of having a Java programmer, a PHP programmer, and so on and so forth, but have a single tool set that could support us, as well as looking for a single solution provider that could support us through the whole end-to-end development lifecycle. We had been a long-time customer of EXTOL using their EEI system, which was mainly for the EDI world. We knew they were experts in integration, so we sought out their expertise and advice, and they had released a product called EXTOL Business Integrator, or EBI. And indeed, it actually was what I was looking for their organization, was a true business-to-business integration platform that could service an any-to-any or a multi-platform, multi-system. It was really agnostic to what kind of data source or what kind of data system that it was coming from. It didn't matter what ERP or warehouse management system. It could handle multiple platforms and multiple data sets. And it sat in the middle, so it didn't matter if the source was a Java program or an e-commerce PHP program, or if the destination was an Excel or a CSV file or XML, or even API point-to-point SOAP. So we really looked for a central point in EXTOL EBI solution. And it really was, it became our integration hub for any type of file. And one of the examples that I want to kind of share with everyone is we actually have a particular model where we take consumer level information and really go from consumer to manufacturer to raw materials and then back to the consumer. So we have a vendor managed inventory model where we take point of sales information. So we're taking hundreds of store level information down to each individual SKU, UPC, down to each transaction, aggregating that up and sending that over to our sister company that does the forecasting models. And basically we're doing forecasting for both at the store level, our warehouse here in Dallas, and even the forecasting in the manufacturing and the production. So we're able to take all of that data seamlessly and pass that information to all of those touch points, and then on the reverse back, take those information and actually cut reverse purchase orders to then send to the manufacturer, send to the raw materials, and then even send to the retailer. So that way we have a fully integrated vendor managed inventory program. And thanks to EXTOL and also to our sister company in Hong Kong, we're able to do that in a more seamless fashion. One of the things that we knew that we needed help on is we needed to be able to do this in a very quick fashion and ramp up. And right now we went from 30 trading partners about 4 years ago to right now I think we're sitting around 60 trading partners. So we knew we needed strong help, obviously, from the solution side, which we got from EXTOL, but also from the implementation side and services side. That's where we look towards Persimmon Group to really help us in implementing EXTOL EBI for our entire program. We've been using the Persimmon Group for quite a while now, and one of the obvious benefits that Persimmon Group brings to the table is their intimate knowledge of the EXTOL solutions. They're obviously a partner with EXTOL, so they have deep knowledge in both the existing program we had in the past, EEI, as well as the EXTOL Business Integrator. So they were a great partner to work with. But on top of that, and it's a struggle that I faced in my past career as well as when I was here, was doing the integration is one piece, but taking it all the way through the systems, through your ERP, through your WM, to your suppliers, really requires a partner that basically takes the time to understand what your business is all about. There's a lot of players out there that will claim to do EDI and integration services, but they stop at the point of the host system. But Persimmon Group, what they know is that to be successful is it has to be end-to-end. And so they learn your business, become more intimate with what you do in IT, but also what you do in your warehouse, what you do in your order-to-cash cycle, your procure-to-pay. And when you look at a Persimmon person and you look at a TAG person, they're no different. They both know our business model, and they're very intimate with what we do. So they do provide a lot of, not just programming and mapping knowledge, but they also provide consulting and as well as deep industry knowledge as well.
Okay. Good, thanks. Let's learn a little more about the Persimmon Group. Charles Abbott is here to tell us about it. So, Charles, can you tell us a little bit about Persimmon Group and touch on your relationship with TAG?
Yes. Well, thank you, Barry, and thank you for the opportunity to join in on this webinar today. And I have to say, thank you, Jerry, for the great intro. So the Persimmon Group is a technology consulting company that provides services and support to customers primarily in the supply chain industries. We have been in business for over 20 years, and our pool of resources provides a wide range of industry knowledge and expertise. Our primary focus is working with our customers to advance their technologies in support of their business needs. A big part of our core business is working not only with the executive level to find and build strategies, but also working in the trenches to help build the solutions that help our customers succeed. A number of years ago, we realized the work we were doing with our customers to support their ERP and data management strategies was increasingly laden with outside integration issues. We had already done a large amount of EDI mapping and integration services, but we noticed that the complexity of those integrations was causing not only an increase in the customer demand, but also the demands of our own internal knowledge and expertise. Around that time, we were working with the Apparel Group in their ongoing day-to-day integration with standard EDI, their ERP systems, as Jerry mentioned, were more of a legacy perspective. The amount of EDI and the data that they were bringing on, probably about 20 trading partners, averaging somewhere around 3 to 5 documents per trading partner, was a nominal amount for most businesses today. And as Jerry came to us, he was very interested in helping the day-to-day, helping the help desk support, or the ongoing integration that was happening. But at the same time, in the background, was this bubbling of a whole new growth pattern that they were working through. So for us, it was an important part of being able to provide the services that our existing customer was asking for. I think the strategy that was kind of building at that point was more of Jerry coming to the table with demands and requirements that for us were maybe going a little bit beyond the normal legacy support that we had been providing. At the same time, we had already partnered with EXTOL. We had been working with the EXTOL integrator product, and we had been brought into the fold of the new EXTOL business integrator and what it could do for organizations from an any-to-any translation perspective. So the culmination of that timing and the things that were happening with the Apparel Group and really the demands that Jerry was coming to the table with all conspired at one point in time to kind of provide this influx of demand technology and more complex data management. So one of the things that we were posed to do with TAG was to increase our perspective of what that data management meant. As Jerry mentioned, they were changing their business models. They were bringing on new ways that they were going to incorporate their business, including the third-party logistics. And we had already worked with them in a perspective of how that third-party logistics business was going to work with their legacy systems. So we had knowledge and expertise to already help drive into the future with the new development and products that they were really trying to implement. Part of the drivers for success for the Apparel Group, obviously they had much more advanced data management requirements. At the time that we had started working with the Apparel Group, they were utilizing standard X12 EDI. There was not a lot of complexity in the integrations that were occurring, and if there were complexities, they were being handled by outside development, either in another language, another platform, they started to bring together multiple platforms in their environment, not only when they were going to a new ERP system, but as well to try to handle the internal requests for reporting and for bringing in different data types. So for us, it was a key factor to be able to handle and support the requirements that they were asking for. The dynamic business models that they were bringing to the table with the third-party logistics not only meant that they were supporting new customers and new trading partners, but those customers and trading partners were also supporting at another level, almost at a subliminal level. So the multi-platform support was a big part of that as well, because we were bringing in different data types. Different customers had different ways they wanted to transact data. In some cases, they weren't really providing EDI data. What they were giving was proprietary file information. In some cases, it was coming from different places like web fulfillment sites and things like that. So there was a wide range of items that were occurring all at the same time. So the solutions that kind of came to the table at that point, primarily being EXTOL Business Integrator, it opened up the door not only to transitioning from a single platform that was working with the legacy systems on the IBM iSeries platform, but branching out into multi-system, multi-platform support. This included Microsoft SQL Server. This included outside web service connections. This included additional ERP and warehouse management systems. So for us, looking at all of this and coming up with how to design a strategy to have all of this work seamlessly, as Jerry mentioned, was a challenge to say the least. However, I think in the scheme of things, Jerry was definitely the primary driver for buying into the solution. So as we went through and we were starting to design some of these integrations and things like that, it was an important part that there was buy-in from the top, that yes, this product and this tool specifically was going to give us what we were looking for, not just from what we had before, which was regular EDI integrations, but also out-of-the-box concepts for data integration.
Okay. Can you also, Charles, talk a little bit about how the complexity of the 3PL business model was different from more traditional models?
Absolutely. In terms of the 3PL business model, it almost provides an underlying layer of the same integration services, only now for the apparel group, they do business with a customer who is really doing business with other customers. And in the 3PL model, from the technology side, what that really did was expand almost exponentially the number of integrations, the data points, the facade, if you will, of the customer that was being supported, so that essentially that customer was really tagged. They were providing the data integrations for the customer, but that customer's customers were not aware that there was any difference of who they were doing business with. So the integration points for the apparel group really provides a whole additional layer of functionality and integration points. And as Jerry mentioned, not just to do business with a single customer, but now have this go all the way through the sourcing and manufacturing process, and then come all the way back through and reporting back to the retail perspective, and having this model of inbound, outbound, and back out again, and the relationship really opened up and expanded to really almost an exponential form.
And what about the combined value? What combined value has EXTOL and Persimmon provided for TAG?
Well, the combined value was really the technology being the EXTOL Business Integrator technology, which provides multiple formats of data integration, not just regular ANSI X12, which a lot of companies do today, but it includes bringing on the capability of flat file, spreadsheet integrations, being able to do a lot of different communication styles. Most companies today have an FTP and an AS2 connectivity, but now we're starting to look at more and more web service development. We're looking at these integration points that are real time as opposed to batch oriented in a lot of cases. That really provides the technology, well, I should say EXTOL Business Integrator provides the technology and the format and the capabilities that a complex environment requires. From a services perspective, our company has a lot of industry knowledge and experience. We have a lot of technology experience. We go well beyond the development side. We understand the data complexities. We understand a lot of how our customers' requirements for data management really come to play. And trying to work those two together, I think, has been a huge part of the success, not only of what we, Persimmon Group, as a company were able to do, but also how we were able to help put the apparel group into a perspective to drive those new demands for business. I think the streamlined customer onboarding strategy is a big part from the technology perspective. With the right tools, you don't have to redevelop every time. In most cases, we have in the past, been party to, having to build something up and then modify and do a lot of, specific customizations. For us, the right tools provide an ability for us to streamline all of that development. And really, it puts the customer into an ability to have less resource-intensive departments when it comes into EDI and data integration. And that's probably another key factor, I think, in the overall success, really, of the technology, the services, and the business from the customer perspective, is trying to help manage the role of the resource requirements that are there to not only drive the technology, but the business model as well.
Great. Jerry, do you want to jump in there?
So one of the things that EXTOL and Persimmon Group has really been able to do, and this is a combined effort, is not only do we have a platform to be able to extend our capabilities without having to kind of reinvent the wheel or create our own technology. We now have an excellent tool for that. But then add on top of that, Persimmon Group also extends my organization as well. It allows me to do more with the resources that I have and utilize, true experts out in the industry, but without the overhead as well of maintaining an extremely large IT staff that I would have to. So I get the opportunity of extending our organization with the capabilities of both EXTOL and Persimmon. And so the three of us combined actually drive, a total benefit because we have the need for this. We have a business challenge and driver for change, and then EXTOL can bring together the solution, the technology, and Persimmon can bring the know-how and the capabilities.
Barry, working with a number of customers, especially from an integration perspective, going through the years of the EDI mapping and translation services that we've done, it's typical for a company to just focus on EDI as its own entity, and it's just simply a matter of getting orders in and invoices out. And I think one of the key factors that really Jerry saw very early in the growth and the implementation for the ERP and the advancement of the business strategies that he was putting into place was the sense that it was a tool that could do more than just bring in and send out EDI. And that's another key part, I think, of the buy-in that Jerry really provided in the scope of the entire process was, when we would say, hey, you know what, this is a great tool. It does more than just EDI. We have an ability to integrate data from application to application. He bought off on that. He understood that now where he had a requirement in the past to have developers write RPG code for their IBM I series and .NET code for their SQL Server or PHP code for some web integration and some development, he started to understand that, we could utilize a central management hub for data management, and he went for it. I mean, honestly, I've got to give Jerry the kudos on understanding and agreeing to go forward with a lot of these technology integrations because it's where a lot of companies don't see the value of that tool. And from the perspective of where we are today in the implementation, 4 years down the road, they are now utilizing a tool that could have very easily been encapsulated as just an EDI translator, to now being able to manage data between platforms, between databases, between customer integration points, between web service integrations, and all of that kind of stuff. And a lot of times those are buzzwords that people think, well, I wish I could have some of that. And I look at, our customer, the apparel group, and I kind of giggle to myself sometimes and think, well, here's somebody who has it. They've not only implemented it, they're using that as a strategy to move forward for their more complex business models and where they're going from here forward.
As I talk to different companies in different areas of supply chain, sometimes I'm really amazed at how many folks are out there that aren't taking advantage of technology today and don't realize what they can get from a B2B integration, for instance. Do you see that as well? And either of you can take this.
What we see from our customers, especially on the 3PL side, is, and it's the world of retail EDI, and is the need to be able to trade with retailers out in the market space, and of course EDI now has become one of those necessary evils, so to speak. And unfortunately, we all hope and believe that EDI is a standardized process, but in reality, the envelope looks the same, but inside it's all different. So I think there is a conscious understanding that technology can be complementary to any business challenge or business opportunity. Where a lot of folks struggle, and even as we go through our cycles, is making sure that we clearly understand the vision of where we need to go 3, 4, 5 years from now, and then investing in the technology. Anything you do today isn't really for today. It's going to be for 12 months, 18, 24 months in the future. And so then whatever we try to do today, whether it's acquisition of hardware, acquisition of software or services, is understanding that roadmap long term and making sure that everything falls within that vision. And that's a struggle for a lot of folks, including ourselves, as we a lot of times the short term overrides the long term. I think that's where the challenges are today for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I have to agree with Jerry. I mean, all companies today are faced with integration challenges. It doesn't matter what size company you are. You can be, a huge, billion-dollar-a-year company, and all that means is you have more integration challenges than, a smaller company that, may only, work with 20 or 30 customers. The fact is, it's an integrated world today. In the retail space, as Jerry mentioned, EDI, it's a standard of the environment. You really have to do EDI in order to perform business with a lot of retailers today. You don't have a choice. There's services that are available, and there are a multitude of products on the market. But for each company, it's a crucial element to find the right tool for your environment. And obviously, you either have to find the right resources to support the service of implementing those tools, or you have to find the right partners, that you can outsource to help provide that design and all of the elements of your success.
All right, good. Let's go ahead and open up for questions here. Let me start with one here. Apparel is unlike most verticals, really, with the seasonal issue of apparel and how far ahead they have to work, whether it's creating designs and so on. So how does that affect what you folks do and add a layer of complexity to it?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. In fact, that's probably the number one, or one of the number one business challenges for the apparel fashion world is I'm always surprised at our designers, and they're looking at 2016, on what's coming up on the trend line there. So one of the things that we have to be cognizant is there's things you can control and there's things you can't control. And wherever you can control, the key thing is speed to market. If you can reduce the bottlenecks and the hurdles to get your product to the consumer faster, you always win, because that's what they're looking for: new product, fresh product, high quality product, and they want it when they want it now. It's becoming even more so than in days gone by. It's becoming instant demand is such a high need. So what that does on the technology side is, where can we look at breaking down the barriers between either internal departments, between supply chain partners, as well as between customer and yourselves, and then whoever can make the integration as seamless as possible, have fewer touch points, reduce the non-value add effort of manual processing, will ultimately be the winner. And that's something that we look at every day is how do we continue to we spend quite a bit on technology to do this. How can we continue to invest and reduce those touch points so that way our people are doing value add, right, designing great designs, but not being bogged down by rekeying of information, creating manual reports, and making two systems there's the human integration, right? How do we eliminate the human integration and make it a more systematic integration?
Great. All right, Jerry, what things going on here that we've talked about? Excuse me. What was the change in business volume that you folks saw?
Yeah, so as I slightly mentioned, when I first started 6 years ago, we were primarily distributing our own products to our own customer base. But we already had in our mind the business model of doing 3PL services. So as of today, we have dramatically increased the number of customers that we're servicing, where pretty much it's not half and half, but a good portion of our volume going through our own supply chain and our own warehouse and logistics is now our 3PL customers. And we're very proud and very happy to have some great partners with us that do that. And each of them bring in their own flavor of complexity as far as technology needs and integration. Some as simple as, we provide EDI outsourcing for them. We take care of EDI from end to end, from bringing the documents in to just, sending down to the warehouse and then sending documents back to their customers, all the way to a full-out ERP integration, their ERP with our warehouse management system integration. So our volume change has been quite dramatic thanks to our capabilities in doing that.
Okay. Can you maybe give a more specific example of how the change brought in new business?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are now, from probably 3 years ago, we had no 3PL customers to now we have about a dozen 3PL customers. And I think it's about half split. Half are actually manufacturers in the Far East. They're not businesses in the United States, but their customers are needing them to do quick replenishment, and we help them provide that type of service. The other half are branded organizations. They operate, and their primary focus is sales and marketing and e-commerce, and basically we do full fulfillment from e-commerce to wholesale to mass market for them as well. So a huge change in the last 3 years, from nothing to 10 to actually a dozen customers. And our trading partner volume, we went from 30 trading partners to double that now. I think we're at 50 to 60 trading partners in total. So our transaction volume set has gone quite a bit up.
Good. And how about your vision down the road since making this change and expanding your 3PL operation? Has that vision changed for you and the company?
So the overall vision hasn't changed as far as on the technology side. The vision is, we need to keep our operational costs in line, but yet we need to still be able to extend ourselves and provide even more value add. And we have, and we all believe in the fact that even technology is a value add. It's not just it's a must-have or a cost center. It's actually an opportunity for us to win business, but also provide more value to our customers. So the vision stays the same, and what we need to do is really leverage the technology assets that we have to keep our costs the same, but do more with our current assets. And like I mentioned already before, the any-to-any integration, we probably spend 60 to 70% of our time making systems talk to each other. And the more systems that we have and more diversified systems we have, it's imperative that we have a more single point solution for all of that.
And now let's go to Charles. We haven't forgotten you. Where do you see other areas to extend technical capabilities? We're dealing with such a complex supply chain world here, and technology is always growing. So kind of where are you seeing things where there's room to expand and extend?
Well, I think Jerry hit on a very interesting point in one of the things that he's capable of doing today. When we talk about standard EDI integrations, we're talking about order fulfillment typically. We're talking about bringing in purchase orders and sending out shipment notifications and invoices, and that's a standard idealism of EDI. However, in his model now, he is able to almost, pull together diverse ERP systems to allow them to talk together through EDI transactions or just data management transactions. And I think that is a huge benefit to companies as they partner with organizations in the future, being able to provide system-to-system type transactions that are well beyond the order fulfillment cycle, especially in warehouse management and things like that. Transportation is another key part of this. So, as you go through the supply chain today, you're going to find more and more organizations that are required to almost, bolt on their back-end systems with each other in order to have that speed to market and that ability to provide, enhanced capabilities to all of their customers, on both sides. I think another key part of where the market's going today is with cloud-based systems and web services and web service integrations. It's inevitable. It's on everybody's mind. People are talking about it. Some people are afraid of it. Some people are embracing it. I think today one of the things that you're finding is the implementation of those cloud services and the ability to integrate data with your own internal systems so that it as well is very seamless and real time. I think that's a data management challenge a lot of companies are faced with today. And when we look at specifically in regards to the apparel group, they have a tool today that we are able to put in front of this requirement. We can say, hey, we need to have web service integration, and we don't have to go out and employ a whole series of other developers to make this happen. There are capabilities within this tool that the apparel group has chosen to provide that capability. And so I think when we look at the future of the integrations that the apparel group is going to be working with, those are expanding capabilities that really will be a big plus not only for their organization but for their customers and suppliers as well.
All right, good. We're out of questions, so let's go ahead and finish up here. I'd like to thank everyone again for attending today's Industry Perspectives webinar sponsored by EXTOL International. I'd like to thank Jerry Huang of the Apparel Group and Charles Abbott of the Persimmon Group for providing some key takeaways on how to drive competitive growth through a modernized data management strategy. And to learn more about data modernization best practices and strategies, you can contact Jerry, Charles, or an EXTOL integration specialist at the information provided on your screen right now. So thank you all for attending. I'm Barry Hochfelder, editor of Supply and Demand Chain Executive, and this concludes our web conference. Goodbye.